As of August 8, 2022, the National Registry of Exonerations listed 3,200 defendants who were convicted of crimes in the United States and later exonerated because they were innocent. 53% of them were black, nearly 4 times the proportion of the population, which is now about 13.6%. We are now in 2023. Hello everyone, I'm Kyle Rifkin, and I have on the phone a gentleman who is dealing with a real life crisis. This crisis, I'm going to let him speak, so please, man, introduce yourself, my brother.
My name is Lamar Martin, and I'm currently incarcerated at Greenhaven Correctional Facility for a crime that I did not commit.
Now walk me through what happened.
Well, I went to work on June 5th. June 5th, 2008, and I got a phone call to come home saying that it was an emergency. And when I got home, I seen the lady that I was living with at the time, and her godson that she had custody of was in her arms and he wasn't breathing. So when I came in, I said, "What happened?" She said, "I don't know. He wasn't breathing. It's just too much." So I grabbed him and started performing CPR and told her to call the police. She gets on the phone, and I'm thinking that she's dialing the officer. She calls her aunt and her mother. Her mother gets there, and I'm still trying to perform the CPR on the child, and her mother calls the ambulance. After that, when the ambulance is arriving, her mother and her aunt is there, I go downstairs and let the ambulance in. I go in willingly to the 81st Precinct in Bed-Stuy, and they question me. So they ask me questions, I give them a statement. The statement I give them, I told them the events of what happened the day before, which was one of her family members had died. The next day I went to work, and then this transpired. Now, some 13 years later, after I already did a direct appeal, I went to the Court of Appeals, which I was denied. I did a federal aid, which was denied, and I went to the Second Circuit, in which I was denied. And I kept wondering why I was denied, because they're telling me that I'm in prison. I'm charged with murder and the second depraved indifference to human life. But they said I didn't do the crime, I just didn't stop it from happening. So I'm actually in jail because they're saying that I watched my ex-fiance murder her godson.
Now, at the time that this happened, you wasn't home, was you?
No.
During the time of the trial, Lamar Martin's defense attorney failed to produce witnesses or proof on video that he was actually at work during the time of the crime. He also failed to provide proof that he was actually at work with a time card, which was stamped showing he was at his place of work. Later, you'll come to know that the prosecutor also suppressed evidence, withheld evidence, and denied to submit evidence to the judge and the jury for a proper trial.
So to this day, I still don't actually know what happened. But from what she said when she took her plea statement.
Now, what did she take a plea deal? Did she implement you? I seen the documents, and she never once said that you were even there. She never once said you was involved in the abuse. What happened that you ended up with these charges? Because she never implicated you in anything.
Well, like I said, after I did all these different appeals, I was getting frustrated. So I kept going back to the drawing board because I know that I'm innocent and I didn't do anything. So one of the guys that work in the law library asked me a question and said, "Let's start back from the beginning." Then we found out, starting back from the beginning and going to the paperwork, that I actually was the fall guy for a cover-up for ACS and family court. Yeah, no, this Ms. Cheatham is my co-defendant.
Okay, yeah, okay, I confused the two.
Yeah,
okay.
She's the one that the person that admitted to the crime.
Right.
Cheatham is the one that admitted to the crime.
But she never said you was part of the crime. She never implicated you in the crime. From all the paperwork I read, she never said you were involved or even there.
Not at all. I've never been implicated, and even all the way up to the high courts, they all agreed that I didn't do the crime, I just can stop it from happening. But I can't stop something from happening if I don't know it is happening.
What happened to the prosecutor that of this case?
Well, the prosecutor of this case, Kyle Rifkin, he was under heavy scrutiny before. The current DA of Brooklyn, Kings County, Eric Gonzalez, readily admitted in an article for the Daily News dated December 28, 2020, pertaining to Gregory Ellis, that in one case, former DA Kyle Rifkin withheld evidence. Also, the accusation of the corruption of the applicable time that Charles Hines was the head DA of for Kings County. So I was under the corruption of Charles Hines and then the corrupt ADA Kyle Rifkin.
Now, is that ADA still an ADA? Is he still working, or something happened to him?
No, he's not even working with them no more because the whole office is gone because he was one of the ones that left when Charles Hines was kicked out of office.
Okay. And what happened to the ACS worker that was involved in this situation?
Well, Ms. Bell ended up getting another case, which was Marcella Pierce, a 4-year-old girl who ends up dying due to the lack of ACS doing the proper investigation at the hands of her grandmother and her mother.
And did she end up going to jail or getting fired or both?
She ended up being tried for the case, and also she ended up getting she no longer works for ACS anymore. She did a plea deal, and they just like they washed up. Apparently, if you put her name in there, I heard that she's working for another government agency at the present time already.
Wow. Even though she was found guilty with negligence and not doing the job properly.
But this is what I'm saying about that is also the court ordered, like I said, in 2007, the court ordered investigation for Ms. Cheatham for her to gain custody of her godson. Now, from one visit, the courts told ACS that no other investigation was needed. Now, they told me that my inability to stop the crime from happening was the reason why they got found guilty for murder. But had they did the proper investigation and not give Ms. Cheatham the child based on her prior ACS case with her own children, I wouldn't be in prison.
Now, before this, did you have a criminal record, any arrests, or any situations that they could put you in and label you as a threat, a danger to society?
No. Actually, I was gainfully employed for New York City Housing Authority, and I also worked for Premier Restoration Corporate Carpet Cleaning.
And what prohibited them from talking to people regarding your character, witnesses, putting you not at the scene during the situation? What prohibited all that from happening?
That was my lawyer. My lawyer didn't do his proper thing by actually subpoena anybody from my job to state that I was at work. And then they said that my time card didn't register, even though when the investigators went, they found out that I was at work. They just don't know what time I signed in, because at certain places they have a machine called a kiosk machine in which you have to swipe in, and if you don't swipe, you get to fill out an alternate time sheet.
While you're listening, I would remind you, how does one get charged for failing to prevent a crime when they're actually at work?
No, what? Proven and documented that I was at work that morning.
Now, what stopped them from verifying your existence at work by revisiting the camera footage at that time?
Because my lawyer was very ineffective, and I found out about him due to my first appeal, my direct appeal, that he was an ex-judge who got caught with cocaine possession and tax evasion. And the judge, all documented.
And the judge of this case, what stopped you from reaching out to this judge or his court to try and further answer questions or ask questions about this situation? The original judge.
Well, according to, I heard that Dustin Rodbeck has passed away. That was the judge in my case.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to do a motion to set aside the verdict, but he told me that it wasn't allowed because there was questions that should be pending my appeal.
Okay, and what's stopping the appeal?
I'm finished. They stopped it. They just shut it down, said I didn't have ineffective assistance of counsel. They said that I didn't prove that her mental capability, my co-defendant's mental capability, this cheating's mental capability was not important for the jury to know.
So they want to wash this. They want to wash this and make it go away.
Yeah, they washed it up because once I found out about this, once I was able to prove that family court and ACS dropped the ball.
Right, because people benefited from this. I'm sure people got advances and promotions and pats on the back and celebrations at the bar. All those things transpire when you put a black man in jail, whether he's guilty or not.
I have no, and then my also question is, I brought it up and we was talking about it because I'm in the present time trying to put through a 440 actual innocent motion, is if you're trying to say that my inability for not stopping the crime, but you're saying my inability to stop the crime from happening is why I got murdered, not that I did the crime.
I read one point, and I don't want to create a fabrication of what I understood, because sometimes you could read one thing or see one thing and misinterpret it into your own version. There was a part where she beat the kid, rest in peace to the child, whose name is Kyle as well as my name, and the district attorney, the ADA, right? His name is Kyle as well.
Yeah.
I read where she said she wasn't sure how severe she beat him. She couldn't say if she was sure if he was okay after she beat him.
Yeah, but what it was they said she snapped. Come to find out she has a lot of mental illnesses that I had no prior knowledge of either.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she just had the hairbrush in her hand and she snapped. That was based on her statement.
Right.
Because I didn't know any of this until I heard her statement.
Now let's rewind really quick. When you first was engaged with the police at that house, what happened? What was their demeanor? How did they treat you? What was the occurrence with them and you at that particular time?
Well, actually, at the time, they was kind of like, asking me questions because she was all over the place. And I was explaining to them because I'm telling them I came home from work. This is what was happening. This is what I saw. And they said, do you mind coming down for questioning? And I went. I wasn't even a suspect.
Right.
I wasn't even a suspect. I went willingly to the precinct and talked to them.
Right. And as we well know, that's a tactic to get you down to the precinct. Once you're there voluntarily, they can hold you while they conduct an investigation for a certain amount of time, whether you are a suspect or not.
But another big thing in this case that's important is that I got more time than the person that actually committed the crime.
Yeah. Yeah. You are facing 18 to life. Is that correct?
Yes.
With the possibility of parole at all, if at all, what time?
2027.
Okay. You said the jury didn't know that someone pled guilty. Why didn't they know that someone pled guilty as they moved forward to charge you?
The DA made a motion to keep all my co-defendants' information out the trial, and they felt like it wasn't necessary for them to know.
This is the same Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But what was funny about that is that why wouldn't you want them to know that there's somebody that pled guilty?
Right.
And admitted to the crime.
And revisit this question. It's repetitive, probably. What happened to that DA, the one that didn't allow the jury to know that someone pleaded guilty? What happened to that person again?
Oh yeah, Kyle Rifkin no longer works for the DA's office because he was part of the corruption with Charles Hines.
Okay, involved in suppressing evidence and with
the new DA actually readily admitted it in January 8th, 2020, Daily News article about Gregory Ellis.
Okay. Now, go through the name of the judge, the name of the child, the name of the woman that pleaded guilty, and if you remember the names of the police officers. I say that because there are going to be people that Google information on these people that they might stumble across something we might not stumble across, and someone will be able to put more together to this. So to the best of your knowledge, just go through the names again and say who they are.
Okay. The judge's name is Gustin L. Roback. The DA's name was Kyle Reeves. The woman that pled guilty to the crime name is Naeem Cheatham. The CO that testified to say about the phone was Michael Finley. Another detective that testified was Sidney Stolberg of homicide. My lawyer name was William T. Martin, who also put in something that would really like screw me at the end. And I think anybody that would hear this, and the proof is, I have the paperwork in the trial minutes. He makes in his opening statement that I'm going to call somebody to the stand to say that they did it and my client didn't do it. Now this goes back to what you just asked me a minute ago, Kyle, where you said, why didn't they talk about her? Even though the DA made a motion to not talk, and the judge accepted about not talking about her, the judge also granted my lawyer permission to call her to the stand. My lawyer never called her to the stand. So what did the DA do with his closing statement? He tells the jury, didn't the defendant's lawyer said that he was going to promise y'all that somebody's going to come to the stand and said that they did it and not his client. Of course, that would absolutely make me look like a liar because my lawyer never called nobody to the stand to say that.
That is willful sabotage, if ever I heard it, you know. That is sabotage.
He said it in his open statement, and the DA used it in his closing statement.
Right. Okay, and the ACS lady's name. Say her name one more time.
The ACS lady's name is Sharice Bell.
Now, I read some articles on her and another lady involved in the failure of protecting a 4-year-old child who died, lost their life from the failure of their work. And you said that one of the particular women are in fact working somewhere else now. Is that correct?
Yes.
So no repercussions took place with that as well. So people that are listening.
They gave her some kind of like community service, but it's not like repercussions. You lost a child. You're losing children. ACS and family court are here to protect children, and you're not doing the proper investigation, and then you're blaming other people for your failures. Right.
Okay, so for the
ACS has a national database. They should have known not to give another woman, another child that lost her own children to child abuse and didn't even finish the program to get them back. Why would you give her another child?
Right. Man, if anyone wants to write or contact you, please give them the information as to the best of your knowledge on how to reach you, how to write you, email you, or anything of that nature where where the facility is, please.
Okay, my name is Lamar Martin. My DIN number is 10A1694. I'm currently at Greenhaven Correctional Facility, 594 Route 216, Stormville, New York, 12582. That's 594 Route 216, Stormville, New York, 12582, Greenhaven Correctional Facility. Or you can take my name, which is Lamar Martin, and my DIN number, which is 10A1694, and go to jpay.com.
I want to thank you for taking the time to share this with me, man, and I'm going to do my best to get this out as much as I can through social media. I'm going to email it to several friends of mine who are
you have 1 minute left.
Accomplished with news stations and stuff like that, and we're going to just pray on it that it works out, brother. And
I want to thank you, Kyle, and I want to thank any and everybody in advance for whatever help they may be able to do.
Thank you, man. You keep your head up, brother. God bless to you, man.
You too. Later.
Bye-bye.
I want to thank you all for listening. My name is Kyle Rifkin, and I hope that God's will allow this to be heard by the right person, and someone will be inspired to help this man get true justice. Thank you, and have a great day.